you very much, everybody. I'm absolutely delighted to be here. I have been in Airbus 7.5 months, and my role is really to bring digital transformation to Airbus at scale and across the world. Speed matters in business. When we listen to our business colleagues, it's almost the number one thing that they tell us. Time to market, time to value, time to insight, it's constant. And they don't want just a 1 or 2-fold increase in speed, they want a 10-fold increase in speed. And to do that, you need to do something really different. And today I'm here to talk about what we're doing in Airbus really differently. So, a little bit about aviation. 3.6 billion people flown annually, 2.7 trillion contribution to the economy, 51 million tons of freight annually. It's a huge global business. It's a huge growth industry. There are 33,000 new aircraft required by 2035, and Airbus has a large component of that backlog. The annual market value is around $5.2 trillion. But for Airbus, last year we built 713 aircraft officially. That's almost 60 aircraft a month we build. An aircraft takes off and lands every 1.4 seconds, and every time that aircraft lands, it has 4 gigabytes of data ready to give to us. So there is huge scale on a global basis and huge opportunity to derive value from that insight. But we at Airbus have also recognized that technology has completely transformed the landscape and how we provide value internally and externally. Many of the world's B2B companies are being successful, though, when they use the new B2C technologies to give them enhanced speed to market. We're using it to secure our business operations. So as we scale up the delivery aircraft, how do we make sure the technology systems and platforms and services achieve that ramp up? But also the implications in IT are really profound. We want to be able to test, learn, create, seize new business opportunities within weeks or months, not years as they traditionally used to take. We want to test new aircraft manufacturing technologies that give us competitive advantage, design those in a really rapid iterative way, simulate them and work out, are they going to give a better customer experience or a lower operational cost? But we also know that we're being disrupted. It used to be incredibly difficult to disrupt an aircraft manufacturer. That is no longer the case. Elon Musk has completely proven that. He has effectively used technologies like DevOps to bring the iteration time for building rockets down to weeks and months rather than years or even decades. So for us, the mindset around disruption is that it will happen, and we are preparing ourselves for that eventuality. So one of the preparation steps is we created the digital accelerator. Put simply, we have 2 business objectives: to make a step change, transformational change in the speed to market. Not incremental, not half times quicker, 5 to 10 times quicker. We're also providing the foundational technologies and services for the future of IT and how we deliver it through the enterprise. That's through the adoption of cloud, APIs, and advanced automation. Philosophically, we want to focus our organization rather than on horizontal technological layers, but on customer service, customer value, the consumer experience. And as you see, very B2C type concepts. We want to make agile ways of working real and at scale across the whole organization. That is thousands of people. And then we want to build these what we call technology foundations. Okay? These are the raw technology that we need. So, first of all, you'll be pleased to hear is API first. We've built a group-wide enterprise API platform that allows self-service at scale for space, defense, helicopters, and ourselves on a global basis to identify, develop, reuse, and share APIs on a global basis. We're making strategic investments in some of that data. So I said every aircraft delivers 4 gigabytes of data every time it lands for us. That's just happening now. We're making strategic investments on our on-premise data in order to extract it ahead of time until we can realize value, not just for our customers, enabling them to maximize the operational efficiency of our aircraft, but also for our internal consumers, so that they can build better, faster, more efficient aircraft. We've also built an Airbus public cloud platform and made it highly automated, highly industrialized, and highly secure. It goes into production status in April. It's a true global platform for consumption all the way around the world. Okay? With that, we have an Airbus cloud-first mindset. And it basically means, unless you've got a very good reason, you have to put your business services in the Airbus public cloud. Complete change in mindset of culture, of risk, of data governance, of technology, and everything that goes with it. We're also putting in place DevOps for the enterprise. We've built ourselves an enterprise DevOps platform that's cloud independent, and we reckon we'll have 1,000 engineers by the end of the year working on it globally with DevOps practices. It's a 3-4 year journey to do that on an Airbus scale. It's absolutely huge and non-trivial. I make it sound really simple and about technology. It's not. But CI/CD and full DevOps is the way we're going for both our new digital native applications and our legacy applications. I'm a firm believer in getting IT out the way. Sounds a bit controversial because I love IT, by the way. It's about self-service, because when you get IT out of the way, you get speed. So self-service is about getting IT out of the way and putting technology in the hands of those that create value with it, the consumers internally and the customers. So we're taking self-service to an unprecedented scale. We're backing it with automation. We're looking at our complete end-to-end processes, and we're automating almost every single step of those. We're placing the most important people first, the consumer. What is the consumer experience? What is the developer experience? What is it we want for those stakeholders? And we work back from there. So really we're pivoting. Instead of thinking about technology, we're thinking about the outcome first and working back from there. What is the experience? So a very different way of working. And then, like Amazon, like Apple, like Netflix, like Spotify, we're building these hyperscale, massive, highly scalable, highly secure self-service enterprise platforms. There's about 10 of them. API, data, cloud, DevOps, plus a whole raft of others, real-time monitoring capability on unprecedented scales. Everything about Airbus is big. Once you realize that, it becomes a bit easier. And those are all about self-service. It's about really accelerating the organization at scale. And it's fundamental that we do this, that we start spinning that Amazon wheel that they talk so often about and using it to drive agility at scale through Airbus. So, about APIs, coming to APIs specifically. Our vision is to provide self-service APIs and access to our key data across the enterprise, anywhere at any time, from any device to any destination. And it really is about self-service. We'll never have enough people for our supplier to do our work with our suppliers or our partners or our colleagues across the globe. And it's not the model. It's about safe self-service at scale. These are platforms, these building blocks of APIs are, of course, operationally critical, but also platforms of innovation. They enable us to deliver those new business models, test them, fail, find out where it didn't work, and then move on to the next business opportunity rapidly by completely dropping the cost. So you can see that cloud enables this. You can't use any one service of the digital accelerator on its own. You actually use lots of them together, and they all add one thing: speed. Speed to market and speed to scale, speed to value. Airbus is 136,000 people. It's pretty daunting. And when you add suppliers into that, we're almost 500,000 people. So really our job is to enable those customers and consumers alike internally to access that data and services. Those insights we're using to drive operationally our aircraft. How can you fly it better? What's the optimum flight path? What is the maintenance fault that's going to happen when you land before you actually land? Predicting maintenance. And with that, enabling that part in the supply chain to be delivered to you at the closest possible moment. Okay? And these are the services that we use internally, but also we reuse them, these APIs, externally for our customers. If you think about the number of aircraft that we have flying at any one time that are capable of using this data, it's in the thousands. So it really is, over the next few years, a way to rapidly change how our customers run their aircraft digitally. Okay? The target for us is zero ground time, zero ground aircraft on the ground. Because that means that you're maximizing the utilization of your aircraft asset and you're maximizing the customer experience. At the end of the day, they're the ones that pay the bills. So with all strategies, we have business targets, business objective KPIs, and operational KPIs. For us, APIs derive benefit by enhanced time to market. We've got SOA platforms, and probably like most of you found them to be of limited to moderate success at best. Proprietary technology, command and control, centralized. So for us, APIs are a way to open up access to those insights in a democratized way. The value is through reuse, enhanced time to market and through use directly, and shareable assets. But it's also about increased speed to market. We reckon with our full DevOps platform integrated, we're looking at over a baseline 5, maybe even 7 times an enhanced speed to market of our applications. And of course, the savings in our project costs are astronomical when you look at how much we spend every year on projects. So, where are we? Making it real. We've just moved from presentations of showcases of where we're at to real working software. So every 6 weeks now, we start showcasing real working software across the enterprise of our platforms. Okay? First Q3, Q4, first production releases of core sets of APIs. In Q1 this year, we'll be hosting it in Airbus's public cloud, which is with Amazon, if you're interested. And then we start to integrate it with our full enterprise DevOps chain, the really fundamental developer tools for across the globe. And at the final of that, we've got our target really is for the end of this year to have about 100 APIs built, of which 20% are highly reusable. And over the next 3 to 4 years, to increase that to around 300 or 400 APIs, again with the top ones being, top 20% being reshared. And those are enterprise assets. We're going to manage them, invest them, iterate them, market them, and sell them internally and externally for our consumers and customers. So it's real. It's absolutely real. I think we've talked about this already. So how do you make it happen at scale? First thing is there's no value unless they're used. Okay? People have to use your APIs. That's actually what creates the value and actually creates the cost savings. Okay? So evangelization and selling of the API platforms and services and capabilities and the ways of working, that cultural change is critical. Okay? Absolutely critical. So we're going to have to be salesmen, not a typical IT trait, I have to say. We're going to be salesmen, and we're going to sell it globally, the platform and capability, to really drive the reuse. Our team is quite small. You know, currently around 17 people with an aspiration to get to 30 people by the end of this year. And yes, we are recruiting if you're interested. So they need to leverage the network across the organization in creative ways in order to drive adoption. Okay? We need to make them easily searchable and discoverable at scale and obviously secure. We are Airbus, come from a government background. We have military sensitive information. So there's all those challenges ahead. But we've agreed across the globe that we'll work on one technology platform, or with a couple of instances. Okay? So here's an example of a key project, providing some of our workforce access to data on mobile apps and devices. Now, we really want to make sure that people can get the data that they need at any point in time and place. So it could be mobile devices. We've got actually, believe it or not, an incredible augmented and virtual reality capability inside Airbus. on almost all aspects of the manufacturing supply chain. So you can see that the options are limitless. So for us, it probably used to take about a year to build a mobile app. We've accelerated it at 3 months, end to end, 2 months for the first release, and then weekly releases of the API and the capability, with 7 reusable assets built, including APIs. By the end of the year, we want to get to daily releases. It's as simple as that. Daily releases at scale, securely, in a decentralized way across the globe. That's the challenge we're going to get to, we're setting ourselves, which is a huge challenge. And if you think about a B2B organization, having software development practices of any kind that enable that at scale and safely, it will be quite an achievement. So it's been a fantastic journey, an incredible time for Airbus and everybody involved. I think it's as much about, the technology for me is about 20 to 30%. The reality of the digital transformation is that it's at least 70% people, culture, education, and awareness to drive that business change. And that's at the heart of it, and that's what we need to tackle this year. So thank you very much. If you've got any questions, feel free to ask.
We have time for a few questions. Scratching head. Yeah, one here.
Thank you. Very impressive journey. Also with the API, I got 2 questions for you.
Sure.
How do you basically start with management? So on the top in making sure this API mindset was part of the organization. So how did you make the sell?
Yeah.
And the second question is, do you monetize on the APIs?
So, sorry, I didn't catch the second question.
The monetization on APIs.
Yeah.
Do you get money for it from carriers or...
there's many ways to sell and evangelize. Bottom up with engineers and projects is one way. It's not a particularly scalable way, but you will get there, but slowly. Top down, education and awareness, which will take the next year, by the way, of educating senior leaders. That is something of interest and they should do. I really don't want to have a Jeff Bezos memo, okay? I'm not a fan of the stick. We will use it if we have to, but really it's about a carrot and incentivization through education, okay? Simple as that. I mean, the reality is Airbus is an engineering technology company. You know, it has that culture and curiosity at its heart. And, you know, engineers want to do things better, smarter, more efficiently. So there is an instant draw to do this. You know, we've had some success, and actually incredible success, aligning the whole organization to the same technology platform, which is unheard of on a global basis. So, you know, we're starting down the right track. But, you know, we need to sort of leverage the network and the organization to deliver on it. It's not easy, by the way. I think it will take 2 years at least, maybe 3, to build a true API or driven mindset organization. Okay.
You just answered 2 questions at a time, right? That's predictive, right? That's right. We have time for one more question from the audience. Yeah, here again.
Hi there. Did this API first and technology as enabler start from technology or from the business?
It's a great question. It started from technology, but you know, I think if you're a senior leader in IT these days, you consider yourself part of the business. You don't consider yourself part of IT. So I consider myself part of the business. You understand the value of technology in detail, but you know, you have that mindset, and it's an upward battle, okay, to communicate and educate people at all levels of the organization. And most people are sort of aware, aware of it, but few people understand the mechanics and the value of it and how it can transform their business. And that really is the heart of it. Education, there is no value without adoption. And adoption only becomes with education and awareness at all levels. And so, making sure that happens is actually one of the key priorities this year, because otherwise you just won't get the adoption.
I may have one last question about the data-driven business models, right?
Yeah.
So you showed that Airbus is a brick-and-mortar industry company, but it's also a data company, right? 4 gigs when the flight lands, right? Yeah, that's huge. How in the future there will be, API will contribute to make new business models for Airbus, right?
Sure.
Yeah.
So we will use that data and are using that data internally. We capture it right now globally. We process it to look for faults, to predict maintenance needs, and therefore to drive operational efficiency of our supply chains and of those aircraft. But what we're also going to do is to open up these APIs for third-party developers and our customers to use, because we're never going to have enough developers or capacity to build all the applications that people want. We don't, okay? So let's not delude ourselves. So if you really believe in that, the question is, how do you open up safely at scale? And what price are you prepared to pay for it? So, my job in technology is to do 2 things. One is to enable it safely, and 2 is to enable the tracking to enable monetization, if chosen or not. So here's how often it was used, here's the data, here's the value that the customer created. Okay, therefore we can work out how much from 0 to something that we charge that customer. Have we decided? No. Okay? We're still working it out. It's a new business model opportunity, completely. So we are, as the aircraft manufacturer, working out how do we monetize, how far do we go, what's the freemium level of service, how much do we charge on top, or not, to be decided. So the great thing is that we're now at a point where we can do it. The question is, what is the business value proposition that we choose to have?
And in your digital accelerator, you have just to finish, right? But you are hiring, right? 200 people, right?
So the target is about 230 internal employees by the end of this year.
Yeah.
Which we were 37 in July.
And how many directly involved in this API strategy? Do you have an idea?
Oh, so right now 16, the end of the year 30.
Yeah.
Okay, but that's the core API team, where APIs are built by other technology products. The point is to build a system of API developers that we can use to achieve the scale. We'll never do it all ourselves. So how do we educate and aware all the developers across Airbus to be able to do this themselves safely to the right standards, so that it's reusable, searchable, and everything else?
Thank you, Chris Taylor. Thank you very much. Yeah, we're going to close.